I'm Turk Strawman at Theron Q Ramacharaka. Thank you for selecting this video, Agents of Universal Will. Before I continue, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Activate the channel's notification bell thing if you haven't. Give this video a thumb up while you're doing those, so you don't forget to do, in case you forget to do it later. Comment courteously below anytime. Agents of Universal Will. There'll be agents of universal will. What the heck does that mean? You ever hear of anything like that before? It doesn't mean it's not angels of God or messengers of the Spirit or messengers of the gods. It's not those. Well, what is it? Are there such things that are known as that, but you just didn't hear about it yet? Well, I guess so. Is it, how long have they been, how long have they been? Well, I don't know. I guess probably for a very long time. Well, how long have they been? Who first told them that? Well, I'm not sure. Who first did? The first person I know of is me. It's probably come up before. Excuse me. Somewhere, by someone, at least a thought, even in the background of somebody's mind, and didn't know it. I'm sure the term has been around, but I don't know of it. So what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, you could be an agent of universal will. It's a huge responsibility. It's a big thing. But it involves small ego, false ego. It's a very humble duty. Very humble. Any other way, and it's not really agent of universal will. By definition, it's a really big deal involving a very humble state of affairs. There's a lot of humility involved in that. So what the heck is it, though? Well, if you want a mental image to go with it, picture you, just, all right, a stick figure of you, in case it's hard to make a mental image of yourself. It's hard to do. There's a lot of people. Okay, a stick figure, or a mental image of somebody else. Anybody, generic human being, male or female, and picture something. Universal will. What's that? You want to call it God's will? Okay. It's the power of will. The whole thing. Like a power grid. The entire grid. And it is throughout all of creation. One power. It's willpower. One way to descriptively name, is perhaps other pole is desire force, the force of desire. Okay, I hope you get the picture. The willpower grid itself, the universal will. There we are, universal will. Okay. It works toward evolvement. All right. Evolvement of all things. The law of evolution. Kind of an operational principle of universal will. Okay. So picture that entering this mental image you've got, this person, you, or a stick figure of you or somebody else, generic human being, right? Most likely entering from its center, its inner center, and passing outward, or you can just picture it coming into the head and then going out the hands, just some entry and some exit. But if you want to be more accurate about it in a symbolic way, coming from, showing up inside and then passing through, working its way through, the more easily and openly and flowingly, the better. To outside. From one inside to many outside. You like that? That being universal will. An agent of universal will, either voluntarily or involuntarily, consciously or unconsciously, is more on the flowing through easily side or phase than the opposite, having a hard, which would be having more or less a hard time getting through. Now, it's up to the individual, consciously or unconsciously, however it's arrived at. Knowingly, all the better. Willingly, all the better. Voluntarily, all the better. When you know what you're doing, it works better, usually, especially if you apply your knowing. At least you know what you're doing. And, there comes the humbleness. Because universal will is bigger than individual will. It's bigger, I don't know. It's the major. Individual will is like the minor. It's a much lesser degree. It's more focal point. It's a focal point of the bigger. Okay. All right. So opening yourself knowingly and acting accordingly, experiencing it, and taking it on as your own, real inside you. Make it you, make it part of you. Allow it to be, allow it to be real in you. Yeah, experience it. Take it on as yours. All right, that's making it more real. Okay, these are steps in being an agent, to being an agent of universal will in this world, in the cosmos, And it's a pretty good idea for this to be firmly grounded in your own, at least, recognition of your true self, if not it too realized, at least. for you, in you, not manifested. There are all degrees to these things, these phases, these levels of stuff, and they blend together, of course. There's a continuum. We have to be able to talk about it somehow. Beginners, intermediate, and advanced. So, are you an agent of universal will? Are you? You know, I think you can get to the general spirit of what I'm about to say here. And it's relevant. The general gist of this. If a branch completely ignores or just cuts off its notion of its being a branch of a tree from the trunk, next thing you know, it's probably not going to get as much water up from the roots through the trunk, because it takes itself to not have to think about that, not have to be aware of that, not have to remain open to that. Know what I mean? I hope you do. It becomes a voluntary act. At some point, it has to become voluntary. It has to be intentional. It has to be an opening up. It has to be an allowing. It has to be a willing. It has to be a desiring. And then universal will works through you. You've heard that before. Well, yeah, it's working through, right? Doesn't have to work so hard. It's working on through. Right. You're its agent. You're a channel for it. You're a conduit. You're an individualized center of it. How about that? You're a center of it. And its arrival into your being is to the center of you. How about that? You know, these are vague descriptions, just words. They're supposed to get across to you some meaning. It is not quite what the words get at. There are special words for things like that, but they're not in English. So we have these, and not all non-English languages have that. No, just a couple. I don't know. Maybe the Eskimos have words for it. They have a lot of words for snow, but I don't know. Okay. Agents of universal will. Yeah, there are agents of universal will. And they are exactly as I've defined, or very close to it. Been around for a long time. But it has connotations, just the word. Being an agent of universal will has current connotations that are a slightly different point of view on the whole thing. Might make this whole idea of working for the Lord, whatever, come down to earth for you. Something you can do. All right. Like the video, thumb up. Otherwise, thumb up, whatever. Thumb up. And subscribe, get notified, comment courteously. Like this video. Oh, yeah, we already did that. Thank you for selecting this video on agents of universal will. Or something like that. Okay. I'm Turk Stallman at the Ron Q. Go forth and be well.